Hey, yo, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the All Pro JAFFOs, where we bring you the highly elevated sports talk for the highly elevated sports fan. I am your host, JP.
Hey, yo.
With me, as always, the 6'10 beast from the Southeast, Mr. Country K.
I ain't scared of you, motherfucker.
Hope so.
And with us, our Formula One aficionado, the quarterback from a days long gone,
Long gone.
my brother, Caleb, Bernetta, Sunshine, CJ, whatever you want to call him, he's here.
Here comes the money. Here we go.
I love
Money
it.
talk. Here comes the money.
You asked for it, I got it for you. There you go. Now no more bitching about what your intro is.
I'm a happy fella.
So before we get things started, wanted to give a quick shout out to the 3-on-1 podcast, the guys over there for the A7FL, Matt Ryan, Corey Hammond, Big Rob Fabian. Had us on their podcast yesterday. Should be dropping sometime soon. So we'll be able to kind of get that out and everything. It was a good conversation. Unfortunately, Kay had a little bit of technical problems to the point where it was better if he just, there was a whole thing to it. We were supposed to do it on Tuesday, but Matt's thing and everything was getting all glitched out and it was all messed up. So we moved it to Thursday, and they made it a point to tell us, make sure the cameras are this way, how I have it here, and make sure your connection is good. Otherwise, the images and the setting, how he has everything set up, would get messed up. So unfortunately, Kay didn't get to talk too much, if at all, during the podcast, but nonetheless, with the guys, it was pretty cool to kind of sit there and talk about the A7FL season, especially going into the playoffs in a couple of weeks. But again, shout out to them for having us on. That episode will be dropping soon. Caleb, Formula One. It's been a little while since we talked.
Yeah.
And
It's been a minute since we had a race.
that's also true. In some people's eyes, the biggest race of the year.
That's fair. Sure as hell
the,
the
mo-
oldest.
the most historically liked track and stuff like that of the year. Maybe not liked. Okay, maybe not by the drivers. There's certain things that could get.
No, the drivers still love the track. It's still Monaco. Like,
The historical aspect of it is just there.
yeah. It will. It just. I had a conversation with my friends today about it, and he made some pretty good points. There's just too much history there to make it anything else. You know what I mean? For them to like drop it. But again, like the FIA and they may just deem the track, unsafe, and then there it goes. Like, or not. I don't know, man.
I mean, we had talked about it before, and you were wondering whether or not they would even decide to keep Monaco again because of
That's what I'm saying.
one, the size of the track, competitive wise and stuff like that. You can understand how back in the day it worked, but the cars have gotten bigger,
They're like
a little
18
bit wider.
feet long, dude. What do you mean?
Huh?
They're like
Say
18 feet long and like 4 feet, 6 feet wide.
Well, that's what I mean by bigger. The cars are a lot bigger than what they used to be. And they haven't made any upgrades or anything like that to the size of the track or whatnot.
Well, you can't because they're racing on the freaking streets of Monaco.
Exactly.
It's not an actual track. It's a street.
That's what I'm saying. That's where it brings the problem. They can't necessarily open up the streets anymore. So it's like, what do you do? And I mean, it is. Would you agree it's the toughest track? or one of the toughest
Absolutely,
tracks?
100%. It's 72 laps of high, pure adrenaline, shit yourself fear, jam-packed focus. Just doesn't even compute, man. Like these guys are going, 180 miles, down a freaking like a
And
main street, going 150 miles an hour down these freaking things. Like they're putting in a minute and 12 second minute. Tomorrow we might see 1 minute 11 seconds, 1:10.
that's fast.
Yeah,
We saw images of Monaco already going into this week. The yachts were stacking up, trying to find their parking spots. It's all uh,
it's a
big
whole
and
spectacle.
crazy.
See, this is why Miami should have taken notes, because they wanted to do some Monaco-esque type thing with all the yachts, but then they couldn't even get actual water. So
Wait, what do you mean they couldn't even get actual water?
yeah, bro, have you not seen Miami's track?
It's not by the water, is it?
I don't think so, but like they wanted to do all these things with yachts and like putting them on the water and all that stuff, and couldn't afford it.
They
So what
couldn't.
they did was park like boats, like on trailers, and then put like a bunch of either cement or boards or whatever the shit, I don't know. But it's like, and then they painted it like the color of a pool, like yeah, it's really dumb.
So wait, they had the yacht, just not on the water.
Yeah,
They decorated the track with yachts off of the water and painted it blue.
yeah, like the ground they painted it or like how a pool reflects like the water and everything. They painted it like that. Look it up. It's hilarious.
No, I believe you.
It's
That's how
hilarious.
poor man's Monaco right there.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
We want yachts like Monaco. You can't. Well, we want them. How are you going to do that? Well, we're just going to set them up.
We'll fucking figure it out. Gave a Florida man a lab coat and said, here's $100 million. Figure it out.
Gave him a lab coat, and a little bit of bath salts, and said, "Figure it out."
Yeah. And that's what he came up with.
Okay, he's getting tired of the Florida man slander coming
Either that or he fucking knows it's true and he's like, I'm just gonna take the L on this.
So far, they did the practice runs today, right?
Yeah.
And so far in the practice runs, what have you seen? And is there anything about the practice runs that makes you feel any sort of way about this coming weekend?
It is going to be a hard time for Red Bull.
Really?
This is not their track. They really don't have enough space to show off that straight line speed. The only reason why Max it's because he's Max. It's not even. But Mercedes did away with the zero pod, and now they have more of that traditional looking chassis, and Hamilton's flying. Sainz the Ferraris are quick. Aston Martin, I honestly would not be surprised to see Alonso in first place because of how quick they are at like accelerating and getting power down to the out of the turns and everything. This track is, the Aston Martin was pretty much built for this track. Now it's just for Alonso to beat Max in qualifying because, Sunday you're not going to see any overtaking or anything like that. That's why Saturday is so important for Monaco. Is wherever you pretty much qualify, that's pretty much where you're going to end up.
Minus any strategy fuck ups.
Exactly.
Ferrari.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of Ferrari,
Mhm.
we talked about this and I pointed it out, and now all of a sudden it's coming not to fruition, but as a rumor. Ferrari is preparing to make a big push to get Lewis Hamilton on the team in 2024.
No.
No?
No.
I don't think
Hamilton
so.
said it himself. He's never been closer to signing a deal with Mercedes.
Yeah, that could just be
I know, but
misdirection.
even Ferrari's like, no. Like, this is just a bunch of hopeful Italians. Sorry. Sorry. Truth hurts, but it is
Hopeful
the truth.
Italians.
Truth hurts, but it's got to be said.
Because I saw the rumors, and that's why I was looking at it, going, I wonder what Caleb thinks about all this. Because I was
no,
just
they
talking about.
talked
Was I
about
not
it.
talking about that not too long ago?
No, I know, but they talked about it today because they were talking about a $40 million contract or whatever, and both sides were like, no. Like,
What do you say to the rumors? What rumors? Hamilton's going to Ferrari.
yeah, no.
What? Ferrari's going, we don't have enough money. Lewis is going,
And
no.
they've got two pretty freaking young drivers. Like,
Well, I would look at it like this, going like, Lewis wouldn't want to go to Ferrari based on, again, when you talk about like strategies, decisions, and stuff like that, he's already dealing with certain problems at some points with Mercedes. You really think he's going to want to go to that shit show that is Ferrari right now? Absolutely not.
just fire their team boss.
They would need to significantly get better in their strategy game.
Yeah, but you can't tell Ferrari that because then Ferrari gets offended.
Tough shit.
I mean, it is what it is, though.
It is what it is. Like you said, it is what it is. Like, if they can't get their shit together, it's obviously hasn't been working. They can't possibly be sitting there talking to themselves going, what we're doing is working. We're just not catching a break. What? No. Your decision making is what's fucking you. And if Lewis Hamilton does end up going to Ferrari, Leclerc ain't going to be there. Leclerc ain't going to be on the team. Fuck that.
No,
They might swap it and he said, fuck, go to Mercedes. I mean, I don't know. If he does end up going to Ferrari, that would be something crazy.
I don't see Sainz staying, though.
I mean, I see signs in a fucking McLaren by next year, to be honest with you.
Fuck no.
Yep. Because they're going to try and find another racer to go with Lando.
No, they're not going to drop the rookie like that. Piastri's done too much in other sports for them to just ignore that and be like, 1 year you're done.
I mean, they're talking about De Vries like that.
Yeah, but okay, like two completely different organizations. This is Red Bull we're talking about. Red Bull don't give a shit about your feelings. They don't give a shit about your progress. If you're not performing, you're out. That's the end of it.
I mean, period. Huh?
Exactly. Exactly what it is. Red Bull's probably the most cutthroat team. Not probably, is the most cutthroat team on the grid.
No wonder they have a Dutchman as their top racer.
Well, he's honest.
Dutchmen are cutthroat and honest people. Is he a dick? No, he's just Dutch.
Yeah. You don't give a fuck about your feelings. I'll tell you the truth.
Respect to the Netherlands. Respect. Respect to the Orangemen out there. Which By the way, that color scheme of having orange when your flag colors are red, white, and blue doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway,
Don't worry about it.
yeah, it doesn't need to be talked about, right? Doesn't need to make sense. Is that what it is?
They like orange. Fuck off.
Um. So you're thinking of Alonso has a good shot at winning this race.
This is probably his best shot.
Best shot at winning the race.
This is his best shot to win a race this year.
So this is the track that we would say not only is it the toughest, but it's probably 95% dependent on how good your strategy is depending on if you're going to win or not.
How good your qualifying is.
No, but even if you qualify, you can make some strategy mishaps that end up fucking you in position.
Yeah, if you double stack while you're in the freaking lead, while you have a 1-2 lead, yeah, absolutely. That's a strategy fuck up. But that's not typically what happens.
It's not that big of a track, is it?
It's literally like 3 kilometers. I think it's like a mile and a half.
Shit, no wonder. No wonder it's 73 fucking.
And 72 laps of just hair-raising fucking violence and anxiety. It's not even violence. It's just anxiety. It's pure anxiety. That's what it is.
And we're only watching.
Yeah.
Right now, I mean, so let's say Alonso wins.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all based on, so if Checo doesn't, let's say Checo doesn't finish.
Checo will finish.
Probably
Both Red Bulls will finish. But as far as what the car is built for, Aston Martin have the car to do it. Because Red Bull can't really open up that DRS and really show off that straight line speed because of, I mean, that's what Red Bull is. And a lot of these tracks, the back straights, they gain so much time. So much time. Max is just an absolute freak, and his driving line just allows him to whip the car around, and he has complete faith in the car. Just his driving style alone allows him to just extract, 110% out of the car rather than 100.
But I just say if Alonso ends up winning this race, that puts him in contention.
Yeah, but this would be the only race. So, not really.
And Red Bull's not worried about it. Has another win or two left in him? If he stays consistent at the number 3 spot, and then, like, let's say Monaco and 2 other races, he ends up winning.
He won't.
But then outside of the wins, he gets podium and at least 3rd place.
No, he won't.
He would need a lot of help.
A lot of DNFs and a lot of, God's prayers.
Yeah, I don't even want to look at the constructors' standings because that's
it's irrelevant. It's over.
It's not even close. They might as well just give the trophy to him now, honestly.
They're just so fast.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're so fast. I can't believe they're going to have a Ford engine in that motherfucker in 2026, too. Holy shit. That's going to be gross.
Is Red Bull looking like they may have a Mercedes-esque run?
Well, shit, how quickly... Think about how quickly they
figured... in constructors?
I don't know, because I'm pretty sure we're supposed to get new engine regulations and stuff for 2020. We're getting new engine regulations for 2026. But I don't know about body modifications. But, I mean, every year these cars are just going to get faster and faster and faster and faster and lighter and faster. And we'll see how they when they change over to the new engines, how those perform. I have a low key have a feeling that they're gonna perform like shit, but
You hope not.
well, every time I mean, since the V10 era, the cars are just not as fast anymore. They haven't been that fast in forever. It's a V10 though, so I mean, they can really extract like a lot of power from a V6, but now they're going to these completely. I don't even know what the heck they call them. I don't know. One of these green engines.
Hybrid engine?
We have hybrid engines right now.
Oh. Hold on, I just looked at the standings. How the fuck is Lando in ninth?
Lando?
Yep.
He just had to score once. Everybody outside of the top 10 usually is there.
DeVries is like
He's been awful. He's been absolutely awful.
all that shit talking going into this year.
Red Bull, Netflix is kind of. I think they painted him up pretty good there. But it was. I don't think it was talking shit. I think it just came from confidence in his ability, and he's driven like shit. So
Sergeant Captain America 19th.
he's not last, and he's in a Williams.
He's not last. He's not last. DeVries is the only. I mean,
Does Albon
they're
have any
tied for
points?
last essentially.
Does Albon have any points?
Albon has 1 point.
Okay, so I guess it doesn't really matter then, right?
I mean, you're gonna have Americans everywhere getting pissed off and being in last place.
Or he's not in last though.
He's tied for last.
No, he's in 19th.
It's a tie for 19th. That's 0-0.
It's 19th. It's not 20th. Is his name before the other guy?
Randomly generated with fucking Sargent in last too.
Is it on the names, on the standings, on the names? Is Sargent last or is he in 19th?
He's in 19th.
Okay. So shut the fuck up. He's not last.
By the end of this weekend, he might be in last. I don't know.
Nah, man.
DeVries seems to be
This is the first track that Logan Sargent has actually fucking like raced. So, and he didn't put it in the wall today, so good for him.
Hey, always good when you don't put it into the wall.
He's pretty slow, but I mean, everything's just building. Everything's just building. Friday is all building. Saturday, you're still building, and you want to hit that, 99, 100%, come qualifying on Saturday evening. Well, for us, it's morning, but
Very early in the morning. Race day is 6 a.m. over here.
Mm-hmm. I got 8 o'clock, which is nice.
Yeah, sure. You might have to call me to wake me up.
How about you just set an alarm? Be a man.
I mean, I could do that, but
I'm sorry.
So for what you've seen so far, not like it's made any difference before because you've made predictions on Wednesdays before you've even seen practices, and they've pretty much come to fruition. So now that you've seen a practice, what are you thinking podium is going to look like come Sunday?
I got Max in first because just the way he fucking drives, man. Just the way he drives, especially it just doesn't make any sense, And I think Perez is still figuring it out, but I mean he'll get it. After FP3 tomorrow, I really believe that it's going to be a Red Bull 1. And then I got, I don't know which Red Bull, but, and then I have probably Alonso or.
Your arguments are ridiculous.
I really want.
This is Alonso's race. He's coming in third.
Huh?
Huh? This is the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
The whole time we've been talking about this. This is Alonso's race. Alonso looks good.
No,
this
no,
car's built
that's
for
not
this
what
race.
I said. That's not what I said. I said this is Alonso's best chance to win. That's none of what you said is what I said.
Alonso's best chance. You also said Aston Martin. The car was built for Monaco. Like it's built for the track.
But again, it's
but
still
Max. That means nothing to you. He's
it's
coming.
Still Max. What do you want from me? Okay, so I got Max. I got either Alonso or Hamilton.
Hamilton at second?
Yeah, man. That Mercedes looks quick.
So it's going to be either podium is Max, Lewis, and Alonso.
Max,
not necessarily in that order, well, except for Max, but
Hamilton looked fucking quick today. He kind of just kept his head down, stayed out of trouble, and he was quick, man. I'm telling you, dude, they did away with the zero pods.
Isn't that what he was suggesting to begin with?
Exactly. They did away with them for this weekend. And now he's quick.
See what happens when you listen to your driver, Mercedes?
It's like fucking hell.
It took you this long to figure it out, but hey, when it happens, you were right, Lewis. Yeah, I was right in the beginning of the season, fuckers.
But
that's why the rumors were going around I was going Ferrari.
It's the same floor of the Mercedes, but they did away with the zero pod chassis.
Right.
So we start to see how that's going to affect aerodynamics. Especially at least for them. Everybody else has kind of already figured it out. That zero pod bullshit doesn't work.
They let Mercedes die on that hill before getting rid of it. So
yeah, but I think
but they still managed to keep themselves.
All right, here's my top three. Here's my podium. I got Max, I got Leclerc, and I got Alonso.
Where come from?
Honestly, I think he's gonna be all right. If not, I think he takes pole on qualifying for his dad. His dad just passed, and it's his home race. So I really think that he's gonna win this shit.
So you got Leclerc at 1.
It's either, yep. And then I got Max
out
second. Leclerc at 1, Max in second.
Damn. And I know that hurts you to say it.
I got Hamilton in third because fuck it. Perez, Alonso, Russell. I think Sainz hits the barrier.
DNF for Sainz.
I think Lando comes in, what, 5th or 6th? Lando comes in 6th.
Damn.
7. Who do I got? I got Bottas for 7. I got 8. Nico Hulkenberg.
Hold on. Before you go any further, is this Bottas's first time coming back?
What?
Because I'm looking at it right here, Caleb.
Uh-huh.
Oh, there he is. There he is. I was about to say, I'm like, wait a minute. Why don't I see Bottas on this list right now? There he is. Found him. Okay. Number 11 spot. That's where he's at.
Okay, well, he comes
Actually,
in 8th
14,
tomorrow.
13, my bad. 13.
He comes in 8th tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then after Bottas, I got Esteban Ocon and Gasly. I think the Alpines finished 10 or 9 and 10.
You don't have to go through the whole grid, Caleb.
Nico Hulkenberg in 10th, actually. And I got Gasly in 11th. There we go. That's the
Have you
one.
been hitting something today?
Magnussen.
Yep. Yes, he has. Yes, he fucking has.
Piastri. I got no, not Piastri. Yuki Tsunoda, Zhou Guan Yu, right? And then after Zhou Guan Yu, I got Logan Sargent.
I feel like you're just going down to just see if you can remember the names. It has nothing to do with race order.
No. It's got nothing to do with that. I got Logan Sargent in what? What is it? Where are we at? 15?
We've been at 15 like 2 or 3 times now.
No, we haven't.
We went back to 10 twice.
Nah, I went to 11 and then I had to switch the order because it would have been 9 and 10. But then I had to switch the order, so I had all the way to 11 again. And then you fucked me up. I got Albon.
You don't have to do the whole game.
I got Albon.
I asked you for podium. That's it. That's all I asked.
All right.
God damn, that must be some good stuff that you just hit.
It's 2 edibles.
Oh, there you go. That's exactly why. Just don't go throwing up, yeah?
No. The little 1-dose little gummies.
Oh, okay.
Nothing.
Ladies and gentlemen of the JAFFO Army, the Formula One aficionado.
It's fucking out.
We'll see you again next time, little brother.
I'm gonna call your ass in the morning. Fuck off.
You will. You will.
Wait, no, tomorrow morning.
Why tomorrow morning?
Because qualifying matters more.
Fuck you. Okay, fine.
All right,
call me in the morning.
All right, bye.
Oh, shit. Okay, did you get any of that?
Like the good ending. I got the whole rundown of who's going to be where.
Yeah, he, again, those edibles must have been hitting them pretty good. Before we move on to the next topic, we hit hear from our guys over there at Raise Energy.
What's up, JAFFO Army? JP here of the All-Pro JAFFOs, bringing you a message from our proud partners over at Raise Energy. Raise Energy takes a giant leap of faith with instilling a high-quality formula to bring the consumer a powerful yet sustained energetic experience to help us put your workouts and focus in general to the very next level. Perfect for anyone at any time. Raise Energy has become the most popular, the best rated energy drink on the market to date, with a phenomenal flavor profile that puts most of the competitors just downright to shame. Powered by the enhanced Refresh technology, Raise Energy delivers with a performance-enhancing energy drink profile that aids in the most often overlooked categories, which include targeted focus, enhanced recovery time, as glycogen becomes depleted, improve clean energy levels, boost in stamina and in hydration. Most importantly, each can of Raise has absolutely 0 calories, 0 sugar, 0 carbohydrates to give you a smarter and healthier option. You should not have to drink or settle for any other energy drink that contains more sugar and carbohydrates than you can count. Instead, Opt for the smart choice with the #1 fan voted energy drink on the planet with Raise Energy Drink. Use the promo code ALPHARAISE at checkout to get 15% off of your order. Demand more. Join the Raise Rebellion. Let them know the JAFFOs sent you.
Hell yes, hell yes. Just got my shipment actually today of some Rays stuff. So appreciate that for being
You
with
guys
us
are muted.
since day one.
There you go.
I'm muted or you're muted? I can hear you. Corey, can you hear? Hold on. What about now?
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
I'm coming in.
Kay, can you hear anything?
All right.
We can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear him this time.
Okay, good. All right. So I thought I came in and was coming in real cold to your show, but I guess I'm good. What's going on, gentlemen?
What's
going
going
on, Army?
Corey? Long time no talk. Ladies and gentlemen, from the 3-on-1 podcast, the Boston Omegas quarterback from the A7FL, Corey Hammond.
What's going on, Jaffo Army?
What's going on, man? Again, long time no talk. Again, appreciate you for having us on the podcast yesterday.
Well, I mean, it looked like you were filling in for Rob because he was doing his bachata thing. But we missed Country K a little bit, but we totally understand. And I think it might have even worked out because I think Matt would have had a conniption, whatever that is. I think it would have been something that happened. But it was great to have you. It was great to have you guys twice because we even did like a pretend show that I thought was just as funny at times. But yeah, man, long time, first time, long time since we talked, and the first time since pretty much the Goose situation in which I had Goose, Xavier,
what was that,
Vinny
week
on the
4?
show.
Was that week 4, week 5?
It was right before BIC, so yeah. And then the first offensive play of the game, my guy got hurt, and I was like, oh. So I guess since the curse is broken, he ended up playing every game, and the rest of that game too. So even an injury couldn't stop Goose, but
he played well all year, and you guys got a whole hell of a lot better at the end of the season, or getting towards the end of the season. So a lot of promise for the Boston Omegas.
Yeah, I mean,
next year.
It's funny. Rob always represents the champs. And he always talks about his rings on the show. I guess I've taken the role of the offers. But I was talking. I was actually just talking. Doing my rounds, talking to the guys in the league, and I was talking to my friend that is one of the hosts for the other side of the ball, a defensive end that in the fall played for the Kryptonite, and one of their, the color analyst for their broadcast team. Scott McCorkle, but I call him Bjorn Skarsgård, the Viking. And when we were talking more about, kind of how, the West and the East kind of match up. But one of the conversations that we were having is that, just for instance, it just kind of came up as just talking about, some of them we were talking about on our show, the defenses out there and how they kind of like stack up as a group. And I was basically using the Omegas, and I was saying, look, I think we would have put up like 30, 40 on some of those teams, but on the other teams, the top teams, we probably would have fared very similar to the way that we've fared against some of the top teams out here. So I mean, it was funny. We kind of came in hot on the Vegas guys. With a little bit of a misunderstanding, because then I rewatched what we were kind of responding to, and it wasn't really anything other than, they weren't calling out the Northeast. I think they know better than that. They were just kind of, patting themselves on the back, and rightfully so. They got some great talent out there, but For the Omegas, it was definitely a difficult season. It was a grind for every guy on that roster for like a different reason. But the last 2 weeks of the season, we we more than tripled our output in weeks 0 through 5. In weeks 6 and 7, we more than tripled our output offensively, and we cut the deficit from being cartoon numbers against two of the top teams that are headed into the playoffs. And 0-7, a lot of guys aren't going to say publicly anything positive about us, and that's fine. But I'm proud of our guys, and I look at this season as a relative success, considering no actual victories. It's hard to say that, especially when the guy that sits on the other side of the ball for me talks about you're either you're great or ass.
Yeah, the hierarchy of ass. Yes.
Now, were we a great football team? Competitive wise, absolutely not. I think everybody would agree that we would want to be tighter in those games. But just as men and young athletes and old athletes and cast off athletes to fight the way that we did, it does say something about us. I'll let Mike Jones, our biggest fan on the lives, do any more praising. But we improved, and that was really my goal for the team, and even for my old ass. I ended up with 8 touchdowns to my 7 picks and about 950, 1,000 yards passing in 7 games. So I've had better years, but I've had the same years with more wins. So well,
I mean, again, the improvement towards the end, and people got to remember. And again, I love Big Rob to death. I really do, and I love how he calls it. It's very straightforward. It's very like to the point of it needs. This is how it is. But especially with new, essentially franchises coming in, new divisions and stuff coming in, the growing pains, and we talked about that a little bit on the 3-on-1 yesterday. The growing pains of becoming, a franchise in the A7FL. The learning experience. You guys went from only scoring 6 points a game, and then the last 2 weeks just showing up and there's something there. So it's like it's a good step in the right direction going. You can't really go any worse than 0-7, right?
no.
So it's all uphill from there. So hopefully everything in Boston gets more situated. Maybe
In
get
Boston.
more games in Boston too to help out with the home team situation.
Well, and and it's a division, right? So it's a division just like Ohio and Florida. It just needs the enrollment. And I always joke with the Omegas guys. I like the Omegas uniforms and the logo, but there's this badass lobster that they've already designed for the Red Claws. That shit's fire. Yeah, it's a fucking fire logo for a Boston
The
team.
Larry Lobster from SpongeBob. Is that what they got on their logo?
This is L apostrophe something, like he's Angelo, like he would beat the shit out of that lobster from SpongeBob for sure. And don't sleep on the lobster from SpongeBob, because wasn't he jacked as shit too?
Exactly.
Yeah, but he was still way too cartoonish. And my guy for the Red Claws, he is serrated claws for some reason. He has that evolution quirk. So he's taken down any character from SpongeBob, including the sperm whale.
Wait, so are we hearing this correctly? Corey Hammond is jumping ship to the Red Claws?
No.
No?
I would never switch teams season to season.
The only way you would is if they cut you.
No, that's not true either, because there's been instances in the past, and we won't go down that history book. But it's funny, just to kind of put a cap on this conversation, where Big Rob is now, right? But Big Rob always never shies away from kind of explaining where he came from in this league. And to talk about BIC specifically, when they first made their appearance in the iteration of A7FL before it was A7 Town Beef, they were the 0 for team. And as recently as 2020, after a rebuild, right after I was the quarterback in 2018, and then I left for, long story, Rob left, Pat Coburn left, Mr. Incredible left, pretty much everybody but Courage left. The 2019 team, man, and then 20, they had 0 wins again. So the cyclical nature of building any football squad and any roster, construction, the growth isn't in the exponential growth isn't in isn't in week to week, right? Even though we grew every week, it's if we can keep, or the Omegas in general can keep the relative same core, but also build and get the depth, get the linemen, get enough of the position players, so you could see, there's a guy, and he's also a rapper, so check out his Facebook and Instagram, Pharaoh Bacon. And he actually put 6 up on the board as a defensive player, one of our last play from scrimmage in the 2023 season. And guys, when you say 2023, doesn't it still sound like fucking ancient? But in the 2023 season, Pharaoh Bacon with a pick 6, just to cap off the Omega season, pull the game to 14 points, a respectable deficit to a playoff team. And to juxtapose.
How did that name come about?
I don't know, man. That's like asking Angelo Lewis Jr., who plays for the U, number 25, Snags Sosa, why his name is Snags Sosa. And I don't know if you saw the Instagram. There's that white dude for the Watchmen that has the dreads that they're calling Rasta Flash. So look, man, when somebody's got a name, bro, you just go with it. And my guy, Pharaoh Bacon, was Pharaoh Bacon. Look, if he picked a shirt on tinyurl.com/A7FL merch, he would pick the Thick Boy Season shirt. Let's be honest. He was one of my offensive linemen. And the pick 6 that he made, he's a defensive end, kind of dropping back into coverage, and he made the play. He also scored on a 70-yard return, and he did a little huss. Now, he did it on the quarterback at the time, which was a little bit of a bigger dude himself. But the 6 is 6, man. We ain't taking it away. And to clarify on his name, he's also a rapper. So, I mean, there's worse rapper names than Pharaoh Bacon, too.
That's true.
I mean, there's better names. No disrespect to my guy, there's better names than Pharaoh Bacon, maybe. But there's absolutely probably hundreds of rappers that have worse names. And, he's got a lot going on for him, positive, and we keep telling everybody about our season. We just don't always include the record. Let's just say that.
I mean, you don't really have to. It's actually it makes sense, because that makes what Coach Zoe, another coach that we've had on the show, plenty of times and stuff. That was one thing that he said in one of his stories when he was coaching in high school. He would talk about like all the good positive things that happened, and then from there, they got, oh, what was the record? Oh, we went 0-10. Well, what do you like? But you seeing the positives in it, so that's a good way of looking at it. But going now, the regular season's over. We're going into the postseason.
Yep.
And once yesterday's podcast drops, I feel like there are going to be some Vegas guys who are going to be upset with, especially with me, because I remember the text message out, the referee or whoever it was said some rando, and I was like, okay, guy. I was like, that's fine.
The Will Mitchell text?
Yeah. Well, you had the I was like, okay, well,
that's fine.
That's fair.
just a little behind the scenes, because if you're a fan of the 3-on-1 and you do eventually get to that episode, now you'll know what happens behind the scenes. That text, straight cap. He had no idea you were on. There was no text. He doesn't even have my cell phone number. That was not a true actual thing that occurred, but as Rob calls me, right? Sometimes Rob calls me. Listen, he says, I'm Corstradamus. I predict the future in plays. Hand to God that, like, my hands up here, see? Hand to God, when he listens to the 3-on-1 podcast this week, whether it's when it drops, whether it's in like 6 days from now, as soon as he hears it and he realizes that not only is there a guest, but it seems like there's just another dude that he's never even heard of in our league, just basically replacing Big Rob, he's going to be like, yo, you can't even fucking get me on. So, A, it didn't happen.
Your
B,
future.
It will happen exactly like that. And when it does, I will text you and you can like post it to Twitter, be like, see, he does know the future. So, I mean, so that's just a little behind the scenes, but like, you know,
now it kind of makes sense, because at first I was like,
there's no way he could have known that you were on because it wasn't live. So it's just, it's me basically preemptively answering him when he asks me that question by acting like it already happened and I apologized. So he'll hear my answer as he's thinking it, but he's still going to text me and he's still going to say the same shit.
all right.
Don't be like that. If I had a rock, I'll bust your head, bitch.
If it happens, then it happens. But that, I mean, again, it was hilarious. But again, guys from Vegas are gonna be upset with what gets said, because, like you said, we were kind of reactionary to what was.
Well, and let me put into context, because this is what we'll do, right? We promoted your show. We said you guys are West Coast, all that. They'll start listening. They'll start paying attention, right? And you'll be the heel, and Country K will swing in and be like, but nah, you know, I'm a football player. Jay don't really know what he's talking about. Listen, Vegas hits, and then boom, you have the dynamic that you got the hook, because you know sometimes people react more strongly to the negative than the positive, so they're gonna be like, "What the heck is this guy saying?" And then they'll be like, "Corey Hammond's on the show. He's probably talking more shit." And then, oh man, he spoiled the whole thing because they're watching right now. Hi, Sick with it. Hey, Sick. No, but the guy we reference, right? His name is Daniel Packer, right? When he came on their show, I watched it afterwards just to get more of the context, just to make sure that, you know, and I also called him to kind of like let him know what was going on. But what they were doing is basically saying like, look, if the refs allow us to hit like they're allowed to hit in Jersey, because Will Franklin, the ref that I mentioned, right? The head ref that I mentioned, he's actually from Baltimore, but he does a lot of the games of the week reffing. He flew out to Vegas to work with the referees that do the games out there. You know, the 10 a.m. Vegas time game, the 1, the 4, and the 7. He went there specifically to work with the referees to make sure that they knew the ins and outs of the little nuances of how the rules are applied. You can look at a piece of paper with all the rules spelled out in plain English all you want. In real time, you know, professional athletes moving at high speeds and you know, pretty big time, you know, force applied in the velocity that they're bringing with the size that some of these guys are. There's been, you know, and I don't ever really criticize referees because, you know, it's you know, the referees expected, if the referee was a quarterback, he'd expect to have 100% completion percentage, right? You can't ever make a mistake, not even one half a mistake, right? So we hold them to a really high standard. So look, also just whisper publicly, if you like publicly say that you're like with the refs, you know what you do is you get fucking star calls. But Will Mitchell, who runs our refs, went out there to kind of work with them. So what Daniel Packer said is that if the refs ref the playoffs like they let Jersey play, then the Vegas guys will be able to hit in the way that they feel comfortable with. It really wasn't a shot, right? And then what Daniel Packer said later was that not that there's anything wrong with the Northeast, not that he was comparing like apples to apples and this apple that is in the West Coast is better. What he was saying is just don't get it twisted. We over here aren't soft, right? And then one of their guys, a guy I respect, but I'm not going to put his name out there. But then one of the guys said, "Oh, well, if they letting us hit, man, they ain't got a chance, right?" And that's kind of what I think Matt was responding to, and what we were responding to was that type of just flippant, like, oh man, they ain't got no shot if this is the case, which is probably not like a relatively accurate statement in my opinion.
Right.
But what I would also say is that they're the local guys, so they're going to do the little bit of local rah-rah stuff, and I think it's actually fun and fine. Realistically, what we did say though on yesterday's podcast, that this one I think that we're talking about now has dropped first, so it's like almost like a preview. You like this show, check out the 3-on-1 podcast presented by the A7FL wherever podcasts are sold, and I know they're free, but if you wanted to, so you could find them anyway. But when it drops, you get to hear myself, Country K, for a real quick half second. I wish it was the Samuel L, but I know that it's just Stairs motherfuckerly. So you can't really, you gotta find some common ground. The zone doesn't really let that fly, I guess. I don't know. Maybe they let us curse, so who knows?
Yeah, that's why I was like,
Well, I don't know, like just leaving it up there, just chilling.
Yeah.
I'm down with it, and that's why. But I also have to remember, I gotta kind of do stuff off camera, like a little bit.
Well, for them, yeah. Here, I mean, it's up to you. Plus, the smoke kind of coming into frame doesn't
Well,
really.
that's I can neither confirm nor deny what that is or why it's coming in. I'm very close to a smoke alarm just in case there is any danger. So I think we're safe for now. But yeah, man, enough talking about my dumbass and our dumbasses in general. Let's talk about the A7FL playoffs.
It's turned into something now to where I'm looking at it going. Thank you.
Is that Maverick?
That is Maverick in the background doing.
What's up, Maverick? Hey, when Maverick, when Goose was on, were you running the boards when Goose was on?
I don't think he was. I think it was just me.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because it was on Saturday. Okay. Yeah, so we never got the Maverick and Goose. Maybe we're gonna have to do that.
We might have to. Yeah, I was actually thinking about the same thing.
Maverick, how's it going recruiting some of the Wall Street bet guys to start a team / division? I mean, they should basically, Wall Street bets should look at the loss porn that the Omegas were putting up. And if anybody deserves, the good old, diamond hands, Wall Street bets guy thumbs up, it's the Omegas that were putting some heavy football loss porn up on the boards early in the season. Maybe we can make that happen. But we talked about the playoffs a lot on our show.
Yeah.
And I think what happens is there's so much conversation around the playoffs. It kind of gets bogged down when we start to look at the minutia. But I think you at least, Jay, were kind of on record saying that you're feeling.
Well, I mean, I was pretty much feeling the way of, and I don't feel like I'm alone in my thought process, because Derek has come on record and said relatively the same things. That there is no expectation really that Vegas is gonna just go in there and dominate the Northeast, or could there's steps that need to be taken, and he kind of said it too, that the way the format set it up, he would like more interconference play.
We actually, when we were hypothetically working through the schedules for the regular season, we were hoping that there would be a way to have a 2-week slot in the middle of the season where it would be, interdivisional play, right? Earlier in the offseason, there was more Baltimore teams. So the Baltimore teams were kind of be playing themselves, and then the Baltimore teams might drive down to Florida as well as going to New Jersey. And New Jersey was maybe close enough to maybe even consider Ohio. And, Boston was promising more than just the one team. And, so it was always in the cards, and it's always what, the fans want, what the players want, what the league wants. It's just, ask all of the failed spring leagues how that goes when you commit to it up front. The cost structure of a spring football league has proven to be the biggest obstacle. And at least so far, the A7FL is the longest running in the history of football in the spring professionally. And the way that we've really done it is by keeping the regional games, which, help with the overall cost, but also, breed familiarity, right? Like, in the middle of the regular season in the mid 2000s, if you were stuck with a Cincinnati Bengals Cleveland Browns game, yeah, the two teams were absolute dog piles, and not dog pounds, right? Dog piles, but the familiarity of the teams being in the division, sometimes you would get like a 38-35 game that was won at the end. The competitive balance in its own little, smaller biome, Vegas is early, right? So it's almost like going to follow the same life cycle as Jersey, in my opinion. You're going to have a period where the teams are settling in, right? There's eight teams in the Vegas division now, right? There used to be 16 teams in New Jersey. And what happens is over time, the teams that continually year in, year out go in knowing that they have zero chances at a championship the way that they're currently constructed, they look to another team that's similar, that has parts, and they say, look, if we combine, boom, one less team, and not necessarily a super team now. What we're doing is we're taking, like, for instance, if the OTT combined with the Hunters, right, the 5 and the 6, they're looking to maybe slide close to where the Force are. They'd have the numbers. They might be able to, build a defense that has a chance and an offense with some weapons. And New Jersey's been through that. Maryland's been through that. That's why Maryland's down to the 2 teams now, where they used to be like 4 or 5 consistently every year. And that combination of teams you've already seen with Florida in their year 3. The A team don't exist anymore, the original champs, because a lot of those guys were either looking for reps or joining the Nightcrawlers, who were the presumptive favorites anyway.
Yeah.
So,
hey, you didn't get a chance to hear it, Kay, but especially Big Rob, there's a lot of praise for the Tampa Bay Nightcrawlers. And I'm thinking if Tampa somehow wins the championship this year, I think Kay is 100% going to be getting a jersey from them, repping the hometown and everything. And then especially kind of hearing it from Big Rob and from you, what they got going there, especially with Bagway, is it shouldn't be overlooked, because they're going to come back and bite you in the ass if you do. So is there anything, because I know there was little rumbles here, but is there anything that you can kind of confirm is what's going on?
I can confirm that it's almost confirmable, but I can't confirm it because the guy hasn't stepped on the field. The guy I talked to plays on the team, is a big time playmaker and plays both sides of the ball, and is one of the most important players on their team. So when I was talking to him, and I can't really confirm who he is or what he said specifically, I'll say this: some of our suspicions, I feel, are going to turn out correct. But the thing about the Nightcrawlers is it seems like, and it's to no fault of their own, maybe, because the situation that they've been put in, They're isolated in a part of the country where the teams that they can test themselves against are the Ghosts and the O-Town Orange. And I got to give the O-Town Orange credit because they are another basically expansion team. They existed 2 years ago, had a season off, long story, but came back, built a team from scratch, and started out losing to the Ghost in the first game in overtime. So, when you lose to the Nightcrawlers, you are obviously going to probably lose that game anyway. But when you lose to the only other team in the division in overtime, there's two ways your team can go. And this kind of goes back to the Omega type of situation, right? Because look at week 7, DC Buzz. They didn't even show up against BIC. They didn't even want to play. They didn't want to take the trip, which is shorter than the Boston trip. The Boston guys were still hungry. They were still trying, right? I always do the I'll try, but whatever. It's more than just the, I won't be an asshole, but I will kind of, so when I talked myself out of my train of thought, I'm just trying to get back in. I know approximately where I was, but I forgot my point.
Well, with Tampa Bay.
With the O-Town Orange, the O-Town Orange. So when they get to that point and they lose in overtime, there's two ways that your season can go. You can take a really tough and probably heartbreaking loss because it was right there for them. It was an interception to the crib, like pick 6 in overtime. So that means that you're likely have a chance to score. And a guy that's your most vocal guy, right? The guy that talks the most, the quarterback, Devon Gray, throws an interception that leads to a touchdown. And he specifically, but also the rest of his team, had to hear about it probably until the next time they played. When the next time they played, they beat the crap out of the Ghosts. And I respect the guys in the Ghosts. And the Ghosts actually have a dude, Woody Ness Charles, who used to play for the New Jersey Savage. There's a guy down there there's another guy down there from the New Jersey division, Marcus Bishop, that plays. So, these guys know how the game goes. But the other interesting thing that I heard when I talked to that player that's kind of given me good feelings about the Nightcrawlers is I told him, I said, look, you and the rest of those stars on that team, if you guys show up and play, it becomes a story. You get more teams down there. There's more attention on the division. Things start to get better. Everything goes up. And I know that the flag tournaments that you guys do pay out more consistently, but they're not on the same level. And yeah, you got to go through a long season in the A7FL, but the visibility leads to endorsements, which is bigger money.
Yeah.
And all of that's true. But the thing is that the person that I talked to did say this about the A7FL prospects for Florida. In Florida, there's tons of guys out there that want to play football. They gravitate more towards flag because the physicality of tackle requires bigger dudes, and the way that the culture of flag down there has turned into all of these guys basically, on the 9-man, everybody's eligible. They got tons of wide receiver, corner talent that is probably on par or better than anyone in any of the leagues, just as a general rule. The problem is that for our league, the A7FL, you also have to have enough of the big guys so that you can take on a physical team. Yeah. And for me, the Nightcrawlers are going to be an interesting look into that, because if they have some kind of formula where they can bypass that, they might set a new precedent. And just like the NFL, the A7FL has its own life cycles as well, where we used to be a 1990s heavy run league, where most of the guys in our league were, closer to 300 than they were 2. If you look at BIC's roster, they got a lot more guys that are closer to 160 than 300 now. And it's because it's the spread offense as it's trickled down through, college and then, high schools and now Pop Warner. That evolution. Now those guys are 20, 21, 22, and they're playing in our league now. So, for the night crawlers, the hard thing for me is that they're gearing up for just basically that one game. And if they can beat New Jersey, but their only shot is against either the or one of the two best teams in the entire country. And if they win that game, then I know for a fact that everybody on that Vegas roster is going to be like, shit.
We
Then
were so
the
busy
travel
talking
thing
about
becomes
the Northeast that we forgot about Florida.
Well, it's easy to forget about Florida because, be honest, you guys know it and talk about it, right? When you have a situation about your product that you're putting out there that's a little less than flattering, how often do you talk about it, right? Like, for instance, like, let's say hypothetically, there's a situation where, like, one of your rooms has like an embarrassing statue of a sports figure that you're a huge fan of, but that just is I don't know, like, terrible. Goes 0-7 in a season. I don't know, just whatever, right? So
People who
some
used to admire Matthew Stafford before he left to the Rams.
who?
People who used to admire Matthew Stafford before he went to the Rams.
Yeah,
His
because
time
he
in
was good
Detroit
though.
was
Yeah, because he was good though. He brought the Lions to the playoffs. Tell me three quarterbacks that have done that.
well. I
Tim
mean, I guess
Tebow,
the quarterback who rode the coattails of Barry
Baker
Sanders. I guess,
Mayfield,
Scott Mitchell.
Kyler Murray. I gave you three.
What?
Tim Tebow, Baker Mayfield, and Kyler Murray. I ain't going for that Matthew Stafford praise.
thank you.
Well, that's fine, and you can talk bad about Matthew Stafford. I'm just saying, who has taken the Lions in the NFL, in the history of the NFL? Name three quarterbacks that have, and I don't know. I don't mind the names that you all said there, but what I'm saying is that it's I think it's Matt Stafford, Scott Mitchell, and maybe Charlie Batch, but I don't even think Charlie Batch ever did it. But anyway, who cares about the fucking Lions? They're Jared Goff, actually, they look pretty good. They got a guy with an enormous jaw as their coach, and then that solved everything.
I wanted to ask you about a certain team that I feel like.
Oh, with the Jets?
No, not in the NFL. No Jets talk here. The Sin City Chaos, 5-0. I'm looking at this stat right here, and this is kind of like,
yeah, they're like 300-6 or something, right?
yeah, they've only allowed 6 points against them. I don't think any of their games have ever gone into the fourth quarter. If they have, I haven't
No,
seen
the
it.
heist. They played the heist one time, and it was 26-0. That's not a mercy rule. So that game finished. I'm pretty sure.
But when we look at the Chaos, obviously their road to get to the championship is the playoff point is not as difficult as it is in the Northeast. So if they have that, it's basically 2 games to get to the championship. But is this a team that some people may be kind of overlooking?
Well, the thing that's interesting for both Ohio and Florida is it's the easiest path in the A7FL to get to the Final Four. To get to the championship for both divisions is pretty tough because both of those divisions basically cold without any high level competition get one shot like it's a fucking Eminem song and one opportunity, right, against one of the toughest teams in the league that's battle tested, right? Ohio has the benefit of the Final Four game against the Western Conference champion out of that bracket they're hosting those guys. They get to play Insomniac, Sick With It, Force, Aces, whoever it is. They get to play them in Ohio. That's a pretty big, big advantage potentially. Yeah. Now, is it enough? We'll see. But the fact is that they still have to beat a real team to get to the championship. Now, would the road for Sick With It be harder? Yeah, probably, right? Would the road for a team like the U be way harder? We talked about it last night. The U would have to beat the Snow Tribe team, but then they would have to beat presumptively BIC, and then the Watchmen likely, or the Animals if they beat the Watchmen.
And I kind of wanted to get to this a little bit yesterday, but we didn't have a chance to get to it. There was a lot to talk about yesterday, but I wanted to get to the point of this, and it's almost like I wanted to actually emphasize on how difficult the Patterson U road would be to get there, because when they play, and I'm pretty good I'm pretty good with the assumption that they're going to go and beat the Snow Tribe. And
right.
They're going to be playing a BIC team who, after their loss to Patterson U, was heated. They turned into a completely different team after that game. And this game, Patterson U is going to get an angry, pissed off, vengeful BIC team that, if they're not ready for it, it's just... I'm not going to say that they're not going to be ready for it, because obviously that rivalry runs deep and they will be ready for it. But that, going through the BIC, and then even whoever comes out of the other side of the bracket, whether it's the Renegades, Animals, Watchmen, I mean, we can't emphasize enough that the Patterson U road would, and then having after that to go face the Florida champ?
Yeah.
Or the Ohio? They'd have to go face
Florida.
Probably the Nightcrawlers, and then from there would have to play the Ohio champ?
No, it would be, whoever wins Ohio, Vegas.
Oh, that's right. So Vegas plays whoever wins in Ohio. So then, oh man.
So if you're looking at one road that's harder than everybody else's to actually get there, it's the road to win a championship that's the hardest is likely Snow Tribe. But since that's not going to ever happen, they're reasonable.
They're the 16th.
Well, they would have to beat the U, BIC, Watchmen. If the Snow Tribe win a championship, good for them, right? Hell would have then snowed over, totally frozen. I'll keep going with the joke until Jay comes back. Hell would have snowed over. Pigs everywhere, not just the pig skins that I throw, but apparently the throws from Jonathan Keels that are always into the dirt. They will be flying. And we will have probably the beginning of an apocalypse if Snow Tribe wins the championship this year. So, but in a realistic view of looking at it, you look at Sick With It. Yeah, they got the Force week one of the playoffs, but then week 2 they play the winner of OTT and a Vibe bye week. That's a fucking bye week. And no disrespect to either of those teams, good for them. They made the playoffs, and both of those teams would likely beat the Omegas. They're not going to beat Sick With It or the Force. So, it's definitely going to be interesting. And I think the most interesting game of week 1 is Sick With It Force. That might be one of the better games of the playoffs, because especially in those early rounds, you see it in the NFL wildcard round all the time. Teams play real desperate when, if you lose in the first round of the playoffs, your season feels like a failure, right?
Yeah.
So whether it's against a good team or not, nobody cares about that. It's the first round of the playoffs. So as great as Sickwood has done, if they're down in the fourth quarter against the Force in the first round, they're likely going to be playing balls to the wall, desperate as fuck, because they don't want to be told the entire offseason that, yeah, your regular season was great. You scored 92, but you lost in the first round of the playoffs. So there's going to be an intensity level in that game, week one, that I think is going to be unmatched in that week.
Yeah.
And then the interesting games for me in week two are obviously the headliner, which is going to be BIC, U. Then you got Watchmen, likely Animals, which is tough versus the Baltimore super team. And those teams didn't play in the regular season. So that's the first time these teams are playing each other at all. And in the West Coast, some of the other second round matchups out there are meh. But the Insomniacs play the Aces. And it's the number one team likely from the Insomniacs, assuming they win against the Kryptonite. And the Aces, assuming that they beat the 6th seed out of Vegas in the Hunters. And if that's the matchup and it's Aces Insomniacs, I think the Insomniacs are the better team. But who knows what could happen? I've seen weirder things.
Well, I mean, I had also made it a point on there before, because the California team, it's almost like they have to their advantage, because if I'm not mistaken, the Aces were the team that went to the East Coast, right? They actually have that experience against the Northeastern teams, but they've had the, I guess, unlucky scenario of having to just play each other themselves in the Vibe 3 times this entire season. Aces could be that dark horse team that, because of that fact that they only played the Vibe and Vibe the same way, they could come in here
I've seen the
and
Vibe film. They don't have a shot. They're likely going to lose to OTT. They were better than the Gold, but you've seen Gold games. It's not that hard to be better than the Gold. And then
That's
they
also
let
true.
the Gold score almost 40 on them. So, shout outs to the California division. Shout outs to Kelly Hurst, who, started, helping with player management in Vegas, is now basically the director of, and I don't know what her official title is, but basically she's the HBIC out there in the California division. And she's starting to get things ramped up. But the class of that division is the Aces. I think that they have some legitimate things that they can do and rely on, right? When you're a football team, one of the most important things to have is an identity, because then everything else kind of falls in line. And I think at minimum, they know who they are and what they can do. And I don't think that they have a shot against the Insomniacs, but it's like you said, there is an unknown to like how good they are.
Yeah.
And I have these sneaky suspicions about the teams out there in Vegas at times, because they've been so untested for so long. If they actually get in a situation where it's really competitive, people think that you could just turn it on, and a lot of guys can, but sometimes you go to turn it on and then you're still a little bit off or a little bit rusty. And in a high stakes playoff scenario, it's tough to overcome a lot of different things and then figure out how to stop from struggling, especially when your roster's really deep and guys have been what they call unselfish all year.
Yeah.
Unselfish on a successful undefeated team is just another, it's a synonym for waiting my chance to start bitching because I know I'm good and that guy fucked up. And I don't know if the Insomniacs are like that. I don't know if Sickwood is like that. I don't know if the Force are like that. But I've seen a lot of these guys on teams in the fall be like that. And, it seems to be like endemic of some of the, culture out there, which is overstating it a little bit. But the one thing that I think could stop the Insomniacs, whose roster is legit and loaded, is if they pull a Nightcrawlers and they don't take it seriously, even if they're better than their opponent, and their opponent somehow manages to keep it close enough and then throws the lightning quick counter punch at the end that puts them in a spot where it's like, oh shit, now it's on the line.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen to the Insomniacs, but there's a couple of spots where it could. But if they don't take the aces seriously enough to try to, just to take care of business for real, which I think they will, they could be in trouble.
If I remember the Vegas, season and stuff like that correctly, the time that Sick With It and Insomniacs played each other, the last time I checked, it was a close game.
It was week 1, and it was a 3-point game. And to be fair, both teams have really never played an A7FL game as constituted, like currently constituted as they are, together. So it was kind of like the first.
So that matchup for the LA Vegas championship,
the Western
if it
championship,
goes,
if it's Insomniac Sick With It, it's going to be just as hype as
wherever
the Northeast championship is.
That's going to be a ridiculous game. I'm going to be honest, because I think you and I agree. I'm a fan of a Sick, regardless of my criticisms, which I believe are fair, in the assumptions on how the defense and stuff like that works out there in Vegas.
Well, we were talking about
not
the
once
whole,
did you not once
the
did they hear me say that, like, put down the offenses or anything like that, because I know how high powered the offenses are. It's just the defenses that there's nothing really about any of the defenses.
Well,
that
the top
kind
defenses
of
have put out dominant performances. And what some of the top defenses out there do is what the teams that are higher level in the other divisions do, is they have athletes rush the passer. And when you don't have a good offensive line and the quarterback is matched by an athlete with the same athleticism, that equals a sack, right? if you just go with the NFL assumption where, we'll put the big guys in D line, the offensive line might let some guys through, but if a quarterback's athletic enough, he can make D linemen miss.
Yeah.
If you're putting a strong safety rushing the passer, the quarterback's not going to make a miss enough times, and he's going to get caught. So, as unfortunately, I got to wrap up my time here. I've gone as long as I think I can. I want badly, because I really like their play style, for Sick With It to be the representative. It's just hard because even though I feel like the teams, and I was just talking about this with Scott McCorkle, Bjorn Skarsgård, from the other side of the ball, the Viking, those teams are built very similarly. They're almost mirror images of each other in that, they've had guys on different shows quoted by saying that they have 4 quarterbacks on their roster, right? They have a litany of wide receivers where the one wide receiver that gets the most attention might not even be the most talented. They have a stable of skill players that they hand the ball off to or get the ball to in creative ways. And they have those hybrid pass rusher type of smaller defensive ends that cause huge problems in every division in the A7FL. So for me, it really comes down to, in that game, which quarterback plays the best. And I wouldn't be surprised if Jeremy Geary, or if the other guy, I think his name is Mark. What's the other guy's name?
On the Sick With It?
Yeah, the guy that played on the Dream Team against me. He's the coach, but he stepped in at quarterback for Jeremy Geary, who was out in week 7. Whatever, that guy, right?
Yes.
He's older than me too. If either of those guys could outplay Scooter if Scooter plays poorly. But what we've seen from Scott Hamilton is that when he is given enough time, he's deadly accurate. And he's on time, and he's looking for big plays. He's calling play action. He's managing, run games, and at times it looks too easy. So that game, I think for that game and then the Northeast Championship between either the Watchmen, I think, or BIC or the U, between those 5 teams, I'm not sure which 2 of those 5 are going to end up in Ohio. I know that the Chaos are going to end up in Ohio. I know that the Nightcrawlers are going to end up in Ohio. But I'm still torn whether who from the Northeast I'm gonna assume is gonna be there, and who from the West Coast is gonna make it through that gauntlet of a bracket.
It's gonna be a very, very exciting postseason, a historical one, nonetheless for the A7FL.
And luckily for the fans at home that love to hate, as I'm now currently free all Sunday, I'll be back with Matt and Rob sitting in that booth. Hop on youtube.com/A7FL this Sunday. Catch our round 1 coverage and follow, so just so you don't miss one of the big games, and get in the comments and you can give it to me. It's fine. It's fine. I can take it. I got Mike Jones. He'll get my back.
He's taking it.
But guys, as always, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Corey.
And Army.
Ladies and gentlemen of the JAFFO Army, Corey Hammond. We'll see you next time, Corey. Always a good time to have Corey on the show. Very insightful. And again, once that episode on 3-on-1 drops, we'll be able to get that to you. Postseason starts this Sunday, and it's going to be extremely fun. Kay, we might need to start doing our what do we call it? Our audition tapes, so to speak, this week. So we got to be on point.
Better term.
So have we decided what we're gonna like what style we're gonna do?
No, not necessarily. I mean, we still have a day to figure. Well, yeah, a whole day to figure it out.
I'm thinking if we just be us, we'll be just fine.
Well, yeah, but morally just a reflection of, or morally just an outline of, wouldn't help either. I mean, wouldn't hurt either.
Yeah.
But like I said, I was personally just gonna be me anyway. Just watch the games and just react to us as.
I was gonna ask you, Kay. We did talk a little bit about it on the last show, and you and I were pretty much in agreement of what the Miami Heat shouldn't do. And here we are. Game 6. How are you feeling especially after last night?
Last night didn't play any part. I mean, like, I'm not really frustrated or anything like that. Just start like that. So, and like, now I'll say it like this: last night didn't play any part or had anything to do with me being worried, because I'm not. Yeah. But I will say this: if we lose this game, this series is over. I am.
Think so?
Yeah. At that point, those boys will have too much momentum.
They'll be the first team to come back from a 3-0 deficit. Damn. That would... I feel like that type of a loss would be kind of detrimental to Miami in some way, shape, or form. Someone's getting canned and people are leaving. But I mean, they're in Miami tomorrow. So are you playing it cool, or are the inside you're actually like fucking sweating it a little bit?
Well, I mean, I feel like you just asked me the same question twice, but
Yes and yes.
yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm serious. I'm not worried at all.
Okay. I mean, technically, you guys did overachieve in people's eyes, so I guess it wouldn't necessarily be a total failure or anything else like that, but
I
just
mean,
from 3-0, that's when it gets to the point of you won't have any frustrations towards that if the Miami Heat come back from 3-0 and win.
well, the Boston Celtics, but no, I would be mad for sure. But it's like I don't honestly, I wouldn't know how to feel because I really don't think that's gonna happen. So I don't really know how to answer that question.
I feel like, are you in a state of shock right now? Like you can't believe what you're actually seeing, so you're still trying to process it? Is
No,
that what we're at right now?
no, not at all.
Okay. Mm. I'm just like I do think, and it's so game 4. I mean, 116-99. It's kind of bad. 110-97. Yeah, that's kind of bad too. Um,
I mean, that's 13 points and that's 17 points. All right.
I mean, at least be closer than that, no?
I mean, the way everybody makes it seem like the Boston Celtics are a way better team than us. So they should beat us by more points than what they're saying. Wait,
I mean, to be fair, this was the team that you said out of the entire Eastern Conference was the one that you said matched up
better than
um
that.
the best. Yeah,
Yeah. Like I'm not denying that. I'm just saying, like,
you did call it, so to your own detriment sometimes, but you did call it.
I wouldn't say that because I'm still up in the playoffs.
Also true. I feel like we should have a watch along because I kind of want to see your reaction, but then I don't know if you'll have a reaction.
Uh,
Like during the game, I don't know if you're just gonna be quiet about it or if you're gonna have reactions to certain things. I don't know what we're gonna get. I'm actually excited to see. I'm pretty excited to see which K we get tomorrow. Um, let's see here. Is there any? There hasn't really been much going on in the NFL. The draft happened a little while ago, obviously, so there hasn't been much since then. Um, see, nah, don't really want to talk about that. Sorry, but the Denver Nuggets are sitting pretty right now. They're just at home relaxing. Jokic is doing something crazy somewhere. And tomorrow the Heat and Celtics are going to battle it out. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, again,
I mean,
like Corey said,
I look at it a multitude of ways. I can look at it like they're giving Tyler Hero more time to get healthy.
oh Maverick, that's fucked up. He says, I want to hear disappointed K for some odd reason. His team loses and he's sitting there stone faced. That's fucked up.
It's fine. I mean, you're not gonna get what you want, but it's okay to dream.
K is in that mode right now of it's like a and this tends to happen during playoff, like, big moments for, like, all of his teams, for obviously for people who have never seen the show before. Kay gets in these modes that when his teams are in high pressure playoff situations, he almost turns into that mode with the team of his focus just going like, nothing can phase me. Nothing, like, nothing that you say, nothing that you do, nothing at all. There's like ice in my veins, in one ear and out the other. Doesn't matter. We'll see come tomorrow. That's usually how Kay gets every freaking time. Kay or Maverick, 60 seconds later, then he goes off. Yes, there actually have been times after the situation. There's a time period where there's like a deep dead silence, and then like we've had on episodes past, go check them out, Spotify, everywhere else that you can listen to podcasts. Um, he blows up into these half hour to 45-minute rants on what the team needs to do to get better, why they suck now, who needs to get fired, just the whole ordeal. And it's always a great show to hear because he always brings up really, really good points. But it's like he lets it build. He lets it build to that point. That's why during the playoff moment you have this, like, his background right now, just staring motherfucker like at you. Just again, nothing that you say is gonna phase me. Well, I may blow up later, I may not. We'll see when it happens. But he's so exactly. It makes great post show content the next day for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely, it does. Well, everybody, we appreciate you guys for hanging out with us on this Friday. Enjoy the weekend. There's a lot going on. NBA playoffs, A7FL playoffs. It's all there. Sunday, join us on YouTube as well to be able to have a watch party. We're going to be doing our quote unquote auditions for announcing the A7FL games. And what better way to do it than the start of the first ever playoff situation for Western and Eastern conferences, heading into the first ever um basically combined conference, almost Super Bowl S style A7FL championship, heading to Bullhead City, Arizona, just an hour and 45 minutes outside of Las Vegas. It's going to be an exciting time. We are going to be there for every single bit of it. It's going to be exciting. So stay tuned for all of that. Again, we appreciate you guys for hanging out with us on this lovely Friday evening. Um, for myself, for Maverick, for the 610 Beast from the Southeast, Mr. Country K. We appreciate the hell out of you. We'll see you guys next time. Deuces.